Hey everyone, Bruce Eckfeldt here. So wanted to talk about the daily huddle. This is a practice to really drive performance on leadership teams. I'm going to give you a couple of hints on how to make them better. Stay tuned to learn more. Okay, so I'm a strategic leadership coach, so I work with companies on how to grow and scale their business, helping them create really clear strategies and how to create high-performance leadership teams and executing them. And I wanted to talk to you about the daily huddle. So this is a core practice. This is something that I really do with all of my leadership teams, is helping them really create this rhythm around the daily practice of a huddle. So what is a huddle? There's a couple of different kind of backgrounds to this. It comes out of lean and agile. We call it a huddle. You can call it a daily stand-up. It's the meeting that you have once a day to really align the team on activities and priorities for the coming 24, 48 hours, 72 hours, right? The next day, couple of days. So the basic format is choose a time. I like kind of really odd times, 5:00 or 9:05 or 8:53 or something that kind of gets people's attention. But it really should be a reasonably short meeting. Ideally 15 minutes. I've seen them go 20 minutes and still be effective. If you're getting up to half an hour, over half an hour, something is probably wrong, and it's really going to be hard to kind of put this in place. What it means is that people are not being really efficient. They're not being clear. We're not really being concise on the immediate issues. You're probably getting into too deep into issues. You're probably talking about things that are really not related to the next couple of days. And the effect is that it's going to not make the meeting as effective and kind of crisp, which means people are not really going to engage, and ultimately people aren't going to come. So these are some things that I do with teams to really help them make these meetings really crisp, really effective, and drive performance in terms of the daily huddle. So the daily huddle meeting has three basic parts. The first part is, what did you complete yesterday or since the last meeting? So if you're meeting every day or if you're doing every day, since the last meeting, what have you gotten done? What have you accomplished? What have you learned? What has been completed, right? This is the first question you answer. And this is key to let people know this is what I've completed and this is where I am on my tasks. So the second thing we talk about in the daily huddle or the daily stand-up is, what is my plan for today or for between now and the next meeting, next huddle, next stand-up we're going to have? What do I want to commit to? What are my priorities? What are the action items that I need to have? So I'm doing this for two reasons. One is I'm committing to myself. I'm getting clear with myself. This is what I really need to focus on in the short term, right? So given all the things that are out there, all the goals we have, the OKRs, the priorities for the quarter, for the year, this is what I need to focus on right now. These are tasks that I need to complete, accomplish, that I need to make, and I'm committing to myself. So that's the first reason. The second reason is I need to communicate to the other people what I'm actually working on. So if there's any kind of dependencies, coordinations, things that are going to impact other people, letting them know that in the next 24, 48 hours, I'm going to be working on these things. If there's something you need to tell me. If there's a resource I need, you have. If there's something they want to know coming out of this is the time to communicate that. So it gives everyone kind of this heads up on, this is what I'm focused on, and this is where we may need to have conversations about getting these things done. So this is a key part of it. This is where we catch dependencies and why we kind of use this format, this daily stand-up, to kind of identify and coordinate these things. So we don't have to do that in email and phone calls and text messages otherwise. So the third thing we do is identify the obstacles or the challenges we either have or we anticipate, right? So I like seeing 1, 2, 3 things that I know are going to be challenges where I may need support, I may need resources, I may need help, advice. So this is where I can ask the team for assistance, right? So putting these obstacles out there and clarifying, hey, these are obstacles I'm having, or these are things I anticipate having in dealing with these tasks. I can then get the resources I need. I can get the support I need from the rest of the team. Oftentimes, the solutions are there, right? We just need to get them. We need the right person to communicate the right thing at the right time. This is where we do that. So this is the third part, and really one of the most important parts of the daily stand-up. So a couple of challenges that I typically find with daily stand-ups. So the first one is they just take too long. Like I mentioned, should be about 15 minutes, 20 minutes can still work. You start getting up to 30 minutes or more, something's gone wrong, right? It's just taking too long. You don't have the crispness. It means that people are probably not going to be as engaged. People are kind of feeling it's a waste of their time. The stand-up really should be high-level coordination. Don't get into the details. Don't get into the all the specifics of the task. Just say, hey, look, this is what I'm working on. If anything like this comes up, sidebar it, right? Say, I'll follow up after the meeting. I'm going to one-on-one with somebody or do a smaller breakout group, I don't want to take up everyone's time to get into the minutia of something specific. So that's one reason, that's one way that the meetings can go really long. The other thing I find is that people are not prepared. So one of the techniques I use is have people grab an index card, right? So I give them an index card and a pen, and they've got to write on this card those things. So what have they accomplished? What are they doing today? And what are their challenges? And I have them hold it up at the beginning of the meeting. If they don't have that card filled out in the beginning of the meeting, they can't talk. Right. So it's a way to really help make sure that people are coming into the meeting prepared. They've thought about what they're going to say, what do they need. And so when it gets to their turn in the stand-up, they can quickly go through it and they're not sitting there kind of thinking while they're talking. Right. So this is something you can really do. Keeping the time short, again, get it down to 15 minutes. 20 minutes is really the longest you can go. If it's longer than that, you need to make some changes. So the second challenge I typically find in stand-ups is people are talking about things that are either too far in the past or too far in the future, right? So you start bringing up things that happened last week, or you start talking about things you're going to do next week, right? The stand-up is really about 24 hours plus and minus, right? I want to know what happened since the last meeting. What are we going to do before the next meeting? It should be a really tight container that way. Anything that's beyond that really should be part of your weekly planning meeting, which we can cover later. But that's kind of bigger picture. This is about immediate accomplishments, immediate tasks going forward. So the last challenge I find in a lot of stand-ups that are struggling is the issue of how much detail you're getting into. So you really want this to be high-level coordination. You shouldn't be getting into the minutia. You shouldn't be getting into all the kind of intricacies of things. Really focus on, look, this is the high level. If there are details in there that two individuals or a small group needs to talk about, take it offline. But you shouldn't be getting into all those things at that level. Also, getting into minutia, like I don't need to know where you're going for lunch. I don't need to know that you've got a couple of calls for folks. Like, what are the key strategic tasks that you're focused on that are really going to drive movement against strategy in the next 24 hours? And where do I need to let people know? Where do I need coordination? Right. So not putting too many things on the table and not getting into minutia are going to help you really stay crisp and focused and make this meeting highly effective. So the daily stand-up, like I said, is a really key pattern, a really key rhythm that you need to put in place with teams. I have a nice this article that I wrote for Inc. has a one-pager. If you want that, I'll put the link in the below the video here. I highly encourage you. There's some questions on there. May give some details that I didn't cover in this video. But I really encourage you, really get this daily stand-up right. I find that teams that get the stand-up right quickly do really, really well. If you struggle with the stand-up early, it can be quite difficult. It's difficult to get a team back into a good stand-up pattern if they've had, a bad stand-up Huddle experience. So I really encourage you to get this right the first time. Think about what you're doing. Be intentional. Get a coach, right? Have someone help you with the process. It can be great to have someone facilitate the stand-up, so you're not trying to be part of it and facilitate it at the same time. So if you're struggling with stand-up, let me know. Reach out to me, bruce@eckfeldt.com, or if you want to copy the article, you can email me. Would love to hear your feedback. See what other challenges you're having. Would love to help you out. So that's the stand-up. Hopefully that helps and you can scale a little faster and with a little less drama.